I am very happy that we have a Sachin Ji from Bangalore. Okay, I am sure that you have seen yesterday's video. Okay, and I am sure that you are eager to learn from Sachin Ji. So please understand, okay, we have a 30 minutes timeline. In 30-minute timeline, it is expected to be an active listener. So I request whatever the thoughts you have, keep your all personal professional thoughts aside and learn and listen the Sachinji with open mind, because he is like you only, and he is a full-time working professional and a senior position, even though he invested on average 20 hours per week in last 18 months and successfully completed all four exam. First attempt with average 70%, again fifth exam with 83%. So once again, congratulations, Sachin ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Objective of video is to help you out with two way. One is the what is the before exam 5 level foundation is required, okay, to ready for the exam 5 preparation, and second, in exam 5 what are the preparations required. So in case if you have not done good foundation before the exam 5, or if your module exam is pending, you can have an opportunity to build that foundation, complete your gap, and then you prepare well for the exam 5. All of you can pass with the good grade, okay, first attempt either A or B grade, provided you required invest the required amount of time, okay, and do a necessary practical application. So Sachin ji, I am sharing the screen, and now it is over to you. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
showing up. Yeah.
I request to keep your microphone off and be an active listener. And after 20-25 minutes, we'll have some common query session. And already some of the participants have sent, so Sachin ji will incorporate, or I will ask on behalf of the participants. Yes, Sachin ji.
Sure, sir. So, for the benefit of participants, my name is Sachin and I live here in Bangalore, work as a senior IT professional, work for Oracle. I work for Oracle in a management position. And I started my journey almost a year and a half back with Keyur sir, and it has been a fascinating journey. And of course, all the preparation has helped me, pretty much pass all the 5 exams in first attempt with pretty good grades. But as I talk through, I will tell you what my approach was and what I did. Absolutely happy to share my thoughts or my strategy. Though for each one of you, I'm sure you will, all the points may not apply, but I'm sure you will be able to take some benefits out of my experience. And I hope that helps you clear all your 5 exams and eventually take you to the CFP certification. So that's the intent. And I have kept it very simple. My presentation just has probably 3 parts. First part is talking about fundamentals, right? What did I do even before I reached exam 5? What was my strategy? What did I do? I can just do a quick experience sharing on how I prepared for the first 4 exams, or how did I build my foundation. And then later I'll talk about what did I do just 2 weeks before exam 5. And last, I will talk about during the exam or just 1 or 2 days before the exam, what did I do? Very simple, 3 or 4 slides, and it will be more of experience sharing. And based on what I say, of course, if you have any more questions, please do let me know. But I did get your questions, and I have tried to answer most of them while I talk. But yeah, if I've missed something, happy to take those questions. So I'll just start quickly with my CFP journey, right? And then eventually, when you get good grades and all, we talk about whatever 83% or whatever it is. But I think the reason eventually I got to this particular point was because of all the foundation which got built in, and to quite some extent because of the push from Keyur sir as well, right? And I'm sure you would have heard from him multiple times, unless you invest that time early, it's not going to work for you. And I, being a working professional, to be very honest, initially it was difficult to keep up with that pace. But I found those video learning experience very interesting. And what I used to typically do is, approach that with a mindset of not just passing the exam. And again, like I said, I'm an IT professional. So the advantage I had getting into this journey was I didn't have really a background of a distributor or a planner, right? So I was more interested in how can I learn or what can I do so that I can eventually apply these skills, in my professional life. Because, like I said in my earlier video, there will be a time when I would want to treat this as my second career. So thankfully, there was no exam pressure on me to start with. Everything was pretty much an approach based on what can I do so that I acquire those skills. And passing the exam was, of course, important, but it was a secondary outcome. More focus was on getting those skills. So I did spend time doing those practical applications, trying to build plans for my family, for some friends, and all that stuff. And I think that really gave me a very, very strong foundation. Because if you notice, and I'm sure most of you have already done multiple exams, some of the things like detailed vacation planning and higher education planning and all does not even come in the first four exams, right? But if you have practiced that earlier, when you come to exam 5, it just makes things easier for you, or it otherwise it will be a new concept for you. I thankfully got to practice that through the practical applications, what I did. And my strategy was very simple. Since I was working, I studied most of the times either early morning or late in the night, because during the days it was impossible to find any time. And then whatever I could not do it during the week, I covered it up uh, on the weekends. So that was my simple learning strategy. And I just finished everything with video learning lectures and took very detailed notes. And I think that has been the best part. Thanks to those notes which I took during the video learning. And I think that pressure of having it with me only for a specific period of time actually helped. If I knew I would have access to that video learning forever, maybe I would have been lazy. But, sir, thanks to your whatever 6 months, 7 month, your technique or that program, that did build some pressure, positive pressure for on me to take all the notes, because I knew when I go to the exams, I won't have access to those video lectures. So I had built very detailed notes, almost 3, 4 full scale books full of notes. And that really helped me through my 4 exams as well as eventually the 5th exam. So I think that was the biggest thing. And uh, I again didn't come under pressure to finish all the exams within a particular time. Like I just when I started my journey, the COVID hit and there were no exams happening as well. But before and after that interruption, I typically took on an average, a gap of about 1.5, 2 months, because there were times when the work priorities took precedence. And during the pandemic, where I could not give exams, I pretty much studied for 2 exams and then gave 2 exams back to back when the thing opened. But the point here again to note is, don't come under pressure and pace yourself well so that you can get to that. Now, of course, there is a timeline of 31st March for most of you, I think, for the legacy exams. So I'm sure that pressure will be there. But for me, I kind of timed it well so that it doesn't really create a pressure towards the end. And at times, you just have to give to your personal or professional priorities, but don't let go of that tempo or momentum. Otherwise, getting back will be very, very difficult. You can always take a week or 2 weeks a little bit slow or low and come back to it. But if you delay it beyond, certain weeks, getting back may become difficult for you. So that's on the initial part. The last part here is, unfortunately, there are no shortcuts, or at least I didn't find any shortcuts. This is not an exam where you have brain dumps available and you just go through them and you can pass. Even if there are, I was not available. I was not aware. So for me, at least, there were no shortcuts, and I did pretty much what Sir recommended, and I think that has given me pretty good results. The additional part, again, as Keyur sir recommended as well, is uh, you will have to put in a little bit of additional effort to read on what's happening, right? What is changing? Like, for example, in the tax exam, there are a bunch of things now which have changed. And there are not too many, it's hardly 8 or 10 key things which have changed. And it's important to go through that because then FPSB does try to test your concepts typically on some of those recent changes which have come in. So since I had done a little bit of that extra reading, I think that helped boost my confidence, and that helped score well in the fourth exam, which is tax exam, as well as in the fifth advanced financial planning exam. So there is no again shortcut here, and the more you stay connected with what's happening and the latest changes and other things, it does help you with those exams. So that's what I did. Typically very simple, straight, and then I'll get more into AFP. But sir, anything more
No, perfect.
on this?
Perfect. You can talk about maybe uh, overall preparation of your exam 5. So you completed your exam 4 in October, and then after 3 months you gave your exam 5. So what you did in last 3 months overall first, and then you
Correct.
come to the 15 days.
Yes, sir. So I finished end of October, almost end of October, first week of November. And on my work front, December was, up to Christmas, the December month was very, very busy. So I lost 3 weeks almost doing nothing because on professional front, things were very, very busy. And there were then no dates which will allow me to just give an exam, towards the end of December. So I pushed it into January, and that has helped. I think what worked for me, sir, was the sequencing of my exams. The fourth exam was tax, and all the new and the only place where things have changed is tax exam, right? So I had very well prepared for the tax exam, and I had scored well there as well. So I had pretty good confidence in that area. And I didn't have to prepare much on that portion. That was already done. And I just then carried forward that same thing into the next exam. And what I did during those 2 months, pretty much, sir, like I said here, 15 days, this 15 days, you can even take it as 30 days, is I focused on areas where, which have not really appeared in exam 1 to 4. Like, for example, detailed children education and vacation planning, you hardly get any questions in the first 4 exams, right? A lot of them are on insurance and retirement planning and other simple tax calculations and other things. So I focused on those areas, again, revisited them back from your video learning notes, and focused on areas which were coming new in AFP and which were not covered in the first 4 exams. And the two big areas definitely were children education and vacation planning. That was one. Second thing is I pretty much revised all the notes from the video learning lectures, and it doesn't take much time. Uh, I did all of that, went through it again. That just reinforces your concepts, and I found it to be a pretty good start before I start attempting any questions on papers. Once I was done with that very early, maybe 2 weeks or even a little before that, I attempted actually the sample paper, which is available on the FPSB site, just to get an idea of how well prepared I am. How much is the gap? Uh, is it like I'm not able to attempt anything? Am I at 50, 60%, or I'm very close? And that kind of gave me an idea of where I am and which are my strong areas and which are my weak areas. So without doing too much of preparation, without attempting too many other case studies, I straight went for the sample papers first. And then I knew I'm at 60% or 65%, and I still need to cover that gap. And based on my experience with sample papers, I again went back, studied through the notes. There are a lot of questions which are available in various folders, be it vacation planning, be it child education, be it retirement. Attempted some of those. And then I also went through some of the cases, the older cases, just to get that confidence and feel that I will be able to, do things within 2 hours and be able to attempt those. So all those cases in those case one folder, again, I didn't attempt all. Some of them are very old cases. Those I left. I think file number 9 I left, but the other ones I tried to. finish to gain that confidence. And then I also paid attention to some of the new stuff which is coming in, like the sovereign gold bonds. Video learning has a mention, but I saw that in the exam these days they are asking, at least one question for sure on a sovereign gold bond. And those are easy ones with whatever concepts, sir, you have taught. It's very easy to attempt those. There is nothing different you need to do, just that you need to get comfortable with that. Otherwise, you just feel, oh, I have never done a sovereign gold bond question. How will I solve? But if you just apply your mind, those are very simple ones as well. But I paid attention to those which where FPSB has come up with few newer things as compared to the old cases. So that's what I did. Kept it pretty much to the sample papers and the basic learning to get through in the last 15 days. Okay, so 2 days before the exam, what did I do? By this time, all the concepts were done, everything revised. I went back to the sample papers and solved it one more time. And I think that really paid dividends, because what I realized when I appeared for the exam is there are enough questions which are very similar, if not same, to what you see in the sample paper. Very much similar. So if you go through the sample paper well, it does cover for a significant part of the exam. It may not allow you to get a great grade if you only do that, but it definitely helps you prepare and then attempt the exam. So I again went through the sample paper one more time and made sure I'm able to solve pretty much 100% of those questions very confidently. What I also did earlier and then also in those 2 days is went through those 5 cases in detail. Right, there's no point leaving to the last minute in exam to go through the case details. I pretty much read it line by line, made the notes, because if you're clear with what is written in those 5 cases, you will not have lot many questions during the exam. Like, just to give you an example, only in one case the DA is part of the salary, right? Part of the retirement salary. So you know exactly that you have to include that when your HRA calculation and other things come up. For others, you don't have to. So you don't have to think about that in the exam. All that you can just pre-think when you're reading through those 5 cases and be prepared. I think that has helped me as well, because by the time I went to the exam, I was very comfortable with what is there in those 5 cases. And if there were any questions, I got a chance to clarify those with Keyur sir as well. There's another case where they say rental of 2 floors, each one 12,000 or whatever. And you can always go back and confirm, oh, is it really 2 separate floors? So all those questions you have to ask yourself well before, and not really leave it to the exam to think through those questions, because here the big advantage is you already know you will get 2 out of those 5 cases. So I think that's what I did. And a typical strategy which I have always used is I do not study last minute, because it just clutters the mind. So I pretty much switch off almost about 24 hours. If 24 hours is not possible, I usually book morning time. So if my exam is 9:30 in the morning, I would typically stop studying by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon the previous day, and just take a day off so that things are easy and I don't have to run with my office priorities. So I would take a day off, just relax, and then next day go for the exam. I think that's what I have done, right? And then also have a strategy in place as to what you're going to do in exam. That is also something you should think before you get into the exam. And I'll talk about that. Just one more point, sir, on the previous slide. Yeah. So one point which I had mentioned was be very comfortable with discounting back in time and FP and PV. So all the 5 mark questions, or many of the 5 mark questions, they twist them a little bit. And you would have seen in sample paper, as well as sir has given enough examples. You will never have the investment time horizon and the withdrawals and all matching exactly, right? The PPF will end early and you will have to put it in liquid and all. So you have to be very comfortable with discounting the corpus back and forth to be able to match with those timelines. I think that has been the key because I got a lot of such questions, and since I was comfortable with that concept, I think I was able to crack those. So I think that is one thing I would advise all to be very comfortable of the durations on when they are exactly expecting the investment to end or withdrawals to start, and be able to discount back and forth with the correct timeline. Yes, sir, we can move on. And during the exam, like I said, my strategy at least was to go after 2 and 3 mark questions first. So my recommendation, have a strategy in mind. It can be your own strategy, but at least what I did was I went after 2 and 3 mark questions pretty quickly. And those are easy ones. You can just score those marks, get them in your pocket, and that gives you some confidence as well. So I did 2 and 3 marks really fast, pretty quickly, then went for 4 marks, and then gave maximum time for 5 mark questions. That's what I did. I also completed my case one completely before moving on to the next one. And the only recommendation again I would have is, having said that, if you're really getting extended on case one, be a little careful. I would suggest not to go way beyond 2 hours on case one because it will build pressure on you otherwise. But at least my experience, and I heard the same from others, most of the times case one is more complex than case two. And again, no guarantee, but at least in my case, that was the situation. Also, one or two more participants I had discussion with recounted a similar experience. So case two was significantly simpler, and many times then if you have not paced yourself well, you will be too exhausted to even go after case two when the time comes. So make sure you have that balance is what I would recommend. And then I think the way again I did was personally in the exam, all the key information I just captured on one sheet of paper, just kept it in front of me so that again I'm not scampering here and there or scrolling up and down. And all the rates and other things remain constant, nothing changes. If equity is 11% return, it is 11% return. If you have gone through that in detail, you don't have to again go up and down, and you can save some of that time as well. And last pointer here, if you're not able to solve any question, uh, just don't make it a ego issue of it that I have to crack it. Just leave it on the side and move on. I learned that lesson in my first exam itself, where I completely ran out of time only because I thought this is a question I will absolutely crack and spent excessively amount of time on it. But I think same thing applies. There will be 1 or 2 questions, 5 mark questions, which will, by reading it itself, you will know they are very complex. Just keep them on the side, and you get enough time in the end to again come back to it. I think one thing which is very different in exam 5 is you don't struggle for time. All the other 4 exams you do run out of time, but in exam 5 you 4 hours is big time, and you absolutely don't run out of time. So you will have a chance to come back. But I would recommend, if something is very complex, just keep it on the side and then come back to it in the end. Yeah, sir. I'm done with this. Next. And then the last part, because there were questions on how to go to A grade, right? And again, at least what I thought made a difference. I think you should know when to let go. Like a typical good swing ball, right? The batsman should know that there are some balls which are unplayable and just let them go and survive. I think that's the same thing here. Like cricket, make sure if the question is really complex, just let go, park it on the side, and then come back to it. That's the first tip. Second tip is your performance on 5 mark questions obviously is going to decide the grade. So if you give enough time for 5 mark questions, I think you will be able to crack that and get to an A grade. That's the thing. The other part is, again, like I said, at least my strategy was go after 2, 3, 4 mark questions, get that confidence, get enough marks in your basket to kind of pass, and then uh, move on to the 5 questions. And even the 5 mark questions, some of them are really easy, and some of them then become very, very complex. So just adjust your time accordingly. And last but not the least, never let go of fundamentals. Don't get overconfident. Follow that 5 step process. At least I did diligently. Every time I would draw that timeline diagram and follow the steps what sir had recommended. Uh, Even though you have drawn it for the previous one, I would still draw a fresh one for a new question just to make sure I don't confuse the information. So that's what I would typically do, and I think that worked by keeping my mind completely clutter free. And the last one, somebody asked me a question on what was your mindset or something on those lines as well. And my mindset was very simple. What is the worst case situation? If I don't clear, I'll have to spend another 8,000 and again spend another day. But that's the worst case. World is not going to end. Though I made sure I gave my best attempt. Right, I was well prepared. I went, but yeah, in an unfortunate situation, that's fine. That's the thing you will have to repeat again. So why take too much of pressure and just go after it? Give your best and see how it works. And last but not the least, a little bit of luck always helps. I got Ashwin and I got Sanjay case studies. Ashwin case study was complex, but Sanjay case study turned out to be pretty simple. In fact, I finished all of Sanjay's case study in just 1 hour. All questions were done. So yeah, maybe I got a little lucky as well that 1 out of 2 case study was simpler, not so complex. So that played some role. But yeah, if you have studied well and if your fundamentals are all strong, uh, yeah, a little bit of luck can actually help. But fundamentals and other things definitely will push you beyond the initial part to B grade, and a little bit of luck definitely will take you to an A grade. So that's how my journey was. And with that, I'll take a pause, sir, and see if you have any questions or anything else I might have from the students.
Sure, sure. So thank you very much, Sachin Ji, for investing your quality time in preparing such a beautiful presentation and sharing it with all of us. So we know that all you are at different stage. Most of you have completed 4th exam and going for exam 5 in either Feb or March. Some may go exam 4 in new syllabus in case if they could not complete. But what I summarize my key learning from Sachin Ji, okay, and then if time permits, we can take a few questions. So my key learning is that yes, you need to invest a quality time on a day-to-day basis. You need to prepare your important notes, okay, so you can refer during the exam 5 preparation. You need to do a practical applications, okay. So if we follow the ground rules, okay, principle, process, steps, okay, automatically we are going to get a success. So I know that there are few participants going exam in this month because we have a 8 minute time left. So I invite Bhavik, in case if you have any question, if you would like to ask, which can be helpful to other participants. Bhavik.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Sachin ji, for sharing your experience with all of us. My question here is, as you said, in terms of tax or anything, you had your notes, you found that preparation which helped you. Is there any specific areas which, other than children or vacation planning or something, like in terms of theory, whether is it worth going back through all the workbooks like retirement Word documents or risk planning or anything as such? Did you have to, or did you find any questions which thought, oh, I should have gone through those or anything like that? Did you find anything?
Yeah, so again, yeah, Bhavik ji, thanks for the question. So, and I'll tell you what I did at least. So I was also a little short on time. So I didn't really, and what I saw typically in the sample papers and other stuff is if your numerals are strong and if you're able to go ahead with that, you can be a little okay on theory, provided you have studied enough for the first four exams. So honestly, for exam 5, I didn't go back too much in detail for theory. Of course, trust and other things is an area, but again, the weightage is very small. And thankfully, I had taken that, tax planning and estate planning towards the end. So I didn't spend too much time on theory questions as such, and pretty much took a chance of saying, oh, whatever I've studied in detail for four exams or gone through all the theory questions in various sample papers, those should hold good. Of course, I just revised quickly on code of conduct and ethics and other things because you invariably get some questions on that.
Yes.
But I didn't really get into too much of theory details and reading all the workbooks for exam 5 and rather focused on the number based questions for exam 5. And since I had gone for the first four exams, it was an advantage for me because I had studied theory for those four exams. Those who are doing a challenge pathway and who have not gone through the first four exams, then it may be a challenge. But since I had studied theory for the first four exams, I didn't spend too much time on theory and focused more on the numerals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jayesh, you are going next week. So would you like to ask any question?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent presentation, Sachin Ji. I think I do not have any specific questions. Thanks to the call which we had previously. But a specific thing which I've noticed is that recently while practicing, I mean, I was able to get the exact answer, but while marking the options, I was I don't know why I used to choose some different option. So I mean, any specific tips you want to give in terms of attempting? I mean, after solving, just to tally or review the answers. Do you have any specific tips or which you had in your exam?
The only tip and what I observed, Jayesh, was I think FPSB does all the calculations on an annual basis, right? And if we do things on a monthly basis, I would typically get a very small deviation in the answer. It may not exactly match, but it used to come very close. And this will be the thing. So the only thing which I kept in mind was instead of my usual habit of doing it on a monthly basis calculation, typically MHE and calculating the corpus and all. For the exam, I went with an annual calculation. And another tip what I have is if your answer is just not matching, right, then leave it on the side and come back to it later, because at times then you can just get flustered, and like I mentioned in my presentation, it becomes an ego issue. How is it that I'm not able to get it when I know this concept very well? And that can eat up a lot of time and create pressure. So my strategy typically, if the answer is just not matching, would be to just keep it on the side and then come back. And sometimes you realize you have just made some mistake, some assumption wrong somewhere, and then you can get back to it. Also, keeping it on the side and coming back just gives you a fresh perspective instead of coming under the pressure and trying to solve it there. So at least that's what I did in one or two cases where I got into that kind of a situation.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sachin Ji, because we have last 3 minutes. So all of you are, you can say, mature professionals, and except 2 participants right now, out of 20 odd participants, which we are likely to go in exam 5 in either February, March or April. Okay, 18 are into regular pathway. So they have studied well as part of the theory. And second is that when Jayesh asked the question about the annual versus monthly in corpus calculation, but FPSB has clarified that in case if I have to calculate retirement corpus, whether I calculate in annual mode or monthly mode, the balance 3 answer will be on a different way. It would not be on a same K. If you have an answer monthly mode, then there is a corpus answer, and then you have calculated on annual, they have answer. Okay, so there is no need to worry all of the about. And again, in case if you just follow the do and don'ts of the Exam5, which we have discussed on our first day of the video lecture, okay, you have to follow the TQM process, total quality management. You have follow the 5-step process, solve the question, okay, with 5-step process. And if you feel that okay, whether answer is matching or not, okay, even if it is matching, instead of taking specifically in 5 mark where you have invested qualitative 15 minutes time example, you should go and check it, okay, is there any silly or conceptual mistake, okay, just so if you identify yes, there is a silly or conceptual mistake, even though answer was matching, maybe you're wrong also. So it is not necessary if answer matching is going to be right only. Okay, so we have to follow the TQM process where we first time invest qualitative 15 or 20 minutes specifically for 5 mark question and solve with process. And even it is expected that if we invest 2 minutes more and confirm whether this answer I have solved with is there any silly or conceptual mistake. If no, then you take the answer. Okay, or in case if exact answer is not matching, then you can use the nearby answer, or as Sachin Ji has said that in case you can come back once you complete the your questions, because end of the day our objective is to always I say focus on the primary preparation where we need to invest 80-85% of the questions. So out of 20, 30, 25 questions you are solving, 5 questions you don't know, maybe 1 question in 3 mark, 2 question in example 2 mark, or 4 mark, 2 question in 5 mark, then after 3 years you can again come back, and chances that out of 5 questions you can easily solve 3 questions. Okay, so I once again thank you Sachin Ji for sharing your valuable insight. Thank you very much for participation in this digital meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and all the best to all the participants.
I'll
Thank
share
you.
the PPT to you.
Thank you.